Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is my review for the Bobbi Kristina movie that came on tonight on TV One. I would have to say it was actually pretty good. I have to say, Demetria McKinney did a phenomenal job. I love her voice, and also cop her new album, and also check out my best friend Kenneth Chooks on the K2 Spot. He reviewed her album, and her version of "You Could Get Love" by Whitney, she murders it. Like, love her voice, a phenomenal talent, and been a big fan of hers since Tyler Perry's Plays. So, Demetria McKinney, definitely, she did her thing in this movie. And, she's the one who played the role of Whitney. Vivica Fox played the role of Pat Houston. It was actually a pretty good movie. I mean, I know there's probably way more to Bobbi Kristina's life than was depicted in this TV movie, but at least someone gave us somewhat of a preface of what her life was and some of the things she had to deal with. Some of her emotional as well as spiritual struggles that she went through, especially after the death of her mother. And they actually showed in the movie that her, Bobbi Kristina and Whitney, they got into this really big heated argument the night before she died, and Bobbi had actually drowned in the tub, but Whitney had saved her life. So that really gripped her hard, that she saved my life, and then the next day she died. That definitely really hit Bobbi Kristina to her core, and you just see her throughout the movie grieving her mom and grieving the loss of her mother. And she said that, there was at one point she was talking with some of her friends, she said that, "I cannot believe I told my mother I hate her. The one person that saw me for me, that didn't judge me, that loved me unconditionally. I told her that I hated her, and before I could apologize, she was gone." And that's really deep because it really gives us a lesson to all of us. That love the ones that you have now, because you never know when there's going to be their time to go. And we really see that her mother's spirit was always around her, and we actually see that within this movie that she's trying to follow in her mother's footsteps by trying to become a singer herself, trying to find her own path. But unfortunately, she had a lot of obstacles as well as forces around her that prevented her from moving forward. One of them mainly being Nick Gordon. I mean, we all know the story of Nick Gordon. He was the young boy that Whitney Houston took in as like her adopted son, and she practically helped take care of him. They actually showed when he came to live with Whitney and how Whitney was not about the BS. She was like, "I don't want any problems, Nick. No problems. You're there to help us, and you're there to, take care of make sure that, me and Bobby Chris are good," because this was post after her and Bobby Brown divorced, and we also kind of saw somewhat how their relationship. We pretty much forgive me, y'all. We also saw in this movie how Whitney and Bobby Brown's relationship, how it looked in Bobbi Kristina's eyes. She really loved her parents, and she loved her parents being together. But after her parents divorced, there was this, big divide where her and her father's relationship became very strained, where at one point their relationship was very close. And we actually see that she actually witnessed somewhat of the domestic problems within their relationship, and we kind of saw that actually kind of repeated itself in her relationship with Nick Gordon. Because Nick, as we have come to know, became abusive not only emotionally but physically and psychologically. And how she really had a really deep love for him, the same way that Whitney had a deep love for Bobby. Missed all of the infidelities, the the philandering, the disrespect, all of that, she was loyal to him. And we actually seen that Bobbi loved the same way. She loved Nick that deeply. Even though Nick, was beating on her, cheating on her, spending up her money, doing all of these reckless things, she had a core love for him, and she had a deep passion for him because she felt that he was grieving the loss of her mother as well, and he just grieved in different ways. Because we actually saw that how the more Nick became closer to Bobbi Kris, how he began to start to take control of her life, how he started to divide her from her friends, divide her from her family, the whole thing about them being married and how that all came about, which was all false, but it was what they used to keep people out of their business. But it's like the more and more she got sucked into his world, the more and more she became a victim of his world versus being an equal partner in his world. And it was actually really sad, because she had so much potential and had so much greatness in her. And I think it all got overshadowed by her mother's legacy, and it also got overshadowed, by what was being said about her in the press and everything that was going on. I mean, she became like a pariah after her mother's death, and it wasn't fair to her. She never really got a chance to truly live and truly blossom the way she should have. And, it was actually, good to actually get a sense of who Bobbi Kristina was. I mean, it gave us a piece of her, but there was probably more to Bobbi Kristina than was portrayed in this movie, as I said before. But I actually enjoyed it. I actually thought the performances were great. I actually thought that, the story was told pretty well, the best of their abilities, and we really see that there were people who did love Chrissy, but Chrissy only trusted Nick. Nick was the one that she was the closest to. She grew up around Nick, and I can see why she would have fell in love with him, because he was the one person that was there to hold her hand when there was nobody there, in those dark moments where she was going through her dark grief, losing her mom. And losing a parent is a very, very hard thing to deal with, and especially if your parents were close. So her losing her mother was like a part of her died, and she was just trying to grab onto anything that would keep her, that would just keep her going. And Nick was one of those individuals that she grabbed onto because she knew how much her mother loved him, and she grew to love him just the same. But it's just the sad thing about it is that Nick began to turn into more of a Svengali and more of a monster down the line once he knew he had Bobbi all to himself, as well as the fact that Bobbi was inheriting all of this money from her mother's estate. So he definitely latched on even more. And then once he realized that she had nobody there to jump in and get in between their relationship, that's when he really became a monster and became like this, abusive force that I think towards the end she probably realized what the hell she was dealing with and wanted to get away, but unfortunately she met her early demise. I mean, it's actually a sad story because she was so young and had so much to live for, and I really do believe she would have became a big star. I really do. I mean, Bobby Brown said it best that she had the voice of her mother, but she had the moves like him. So she was like the total package. And it's just unfortunate that we never got a chance to see that, And we definitely see that she had. I mean, we actually saw her in this movie, her working on music, her collaborating, with people, and how Nick was trying to, trying to become her manager and was trying to pull her away from certain people and was trying to was pretty much trying to control her life. I mean, even when it came to her asking Pat to be one of her co-managers, he didn't want Pat involved. He wanted to be the only manager, but I'm like, Kat had experience managing Whitney, so if anything, since you had no experience in management, you shouldn't have been a manager in the first place. But since she wanted to bring you on as manager, you needed a co-manager so you would have someone to work with and actually learn the art of management, if that's what you really wanted to do. But we actually see that it really had nothing to do with business. It was all about control, and Nick wanted to have control over Bobbi Kristina. And it's just unfortunate that she, was sucked into that. But, when you're vulnerable and you're at a low place, and sometimes you reach out for that one person, you're really hoping that that person is going to be there, through thick and thin. And at times they are, but then after a while, if you're not careful, it can turn into something sinister. And this is what happened between Nick Gordon and Bobbi Kristina. They had this really deep love that just turned toxic. And we kind of see that she kind of saw the same thing in her mother and her father's relationship. At one point they had this very deep love, and then it got toxic after time. And it was good that we actually got to, see, this actually play out. And we actually got to see that, Bobbi was really trying to find her own voice and was trying to find, her own place. And she was making strides. I mean, I definitely remember when she was on Tyler Perry's For Better or For Worse. I actually liked her character. She was actually really good, a very talented woman. And again, it was great that they did this movie, and I think everyone in the cast did a phenomenal job playing their roles. But it's just sad that Bobbi Kris had to leave us so soon without actually accomplishing what she really wanted to do. And she really wanted to be a singer like her mom, and she wanted to be her own person. And we actually see that unfortunately she didn't have it easy, and unfortunately she had a lot of struggles as well as trials and tribulations that she had to face. And just sadly, those trials and tribulations led to her demise. So that's what I have, everybody. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments, or there's certain things about this movie that stuck out to you, please put them in those comments. I'd definitely like to hear your feedback. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe account. You can check out that link in the description box as well. Definitely like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and it's been great. I'm actually glad that I was able to review this, because I was kind of up in the air whether I was going to review it or not, but I think I wanted to, because I'm such not only a big fan of Whitney Houston, but I also definitely remember, the Houston's reality show On Our Own. So from there, I really felt that her character was not being depicted properly on that show. But, at certain moments, you got to see Bobbi Kris for who she was, and how deep her grief was for her mother, and how she, after going through that, you really saw how close she was to her mother, and saw that, daily, it was a daily fight for her to just keep going, because the one person that really got her, the one person that loved her unconditionally, was no longer there. So I think seeing her on the reality show made me drawn to her, and I was rooting for Bobbi Kristina, that I wanted her to win, and I wanted her to succeed, because I saw the potential in her, as well as many others, and I was really rooting for Bobbi Kris. And sadly, she's no longer with us, but at least we can actually begin to remember her in a positive light versus in a negative one. So that's what I have, y'all. And I enjoyed doing this review, and I definitely enjoyed this movie. So I definitely would recommend you watch it if you haven't. But until next time, everybody, take care.